Hi, I'm Dee and I wanted to respond to some comments on my recent video about using a capo to create a drop D effect on your guitar. So before I get stuck in, I just want to say that I know there are some amazing guitarists here, and with the greatest love, I'm not really talking to you. I'm talking to the person who's exploring songwriting and guitar playing and looking for ways to make your creative life a little bit easier in the early days. If that's not you, feel free to scroll on by and I'll see you another day. Mwah. Have a lovely day. So, I'm not a purist guitar player, I'm not an amazing guitarist, but I am a pretty amazing creative, and a guitar is just one of the tools that I use to make things and create things. I also like to encourage others to explore their creativity as well. So for those of us who haven't heard this term before, I'll just tell you about drop D before we go on. So this is where you take your low E string and tune it down to a D instead of an E. So this has a ton of uses. For example, try Bon Jovi's Blaze of Glory on acoustic with a drop D. That is lovely. There are a million things you can do with drop D. So to name just a few, if your song or cover has a load of D or D minors in it, or if you've written it in the key of D, it gives this gorgeous full sound. So if you're new to accompanying yourself, it can also mean that you have to spend less time avoiding your low E string when you strum. This can be awkward and distracting when you're singing, which can be a bit of a passion killer in the early days. I'm not telling you not to pursue that, just this is something that can help you. So D, A and G are often amongst some of the first chords that people learn on a guitar. You can start writing songs with these chords as they belong to the same chord families, and you can use different combinations of them and write a ton of songs before you learn any other chords. If you use drop D, you need to change your G a tiny bit, but you can create a droning bass note that sounds a bit like this. This is called a pedal D. Cool, huh? Something a bit different. That might draw out your story a little bit more, create a bit more interest or contrast from your other songs. So that's what drop D is, and that's just a tiny bit about what you might use it for. There are a million other things. Go Google songs with drop D. So going back to this capo thing, instead of retuning your low E string, you can take your capo and put it on the 2nd fret, leaving the low E free, and then we have created the same effect. So let's be clear, this is no longer drop D, this is now effectively drop E, which I mentioned in the caption for the original video, and why drop D is in quotation marks in the video itself, because it's not really drop D. We're now using the same effect that is commonly referred to as drop D, but it's now drop E. When you use a capo, it changes the key. More on that another day if you like. So this use of the capo creates a drop D effect by putting it on the 2nd fret and leaving the low E free. Mark commented, why would you do that? Just tune down. So, and of course you can absolutely do that, and if that's working for you, awesome sauce. But it's a great question. It got me thinking, why do that with the capo instead of retuning? So it started me thinking about all of the instances where I've used this trick or suggested it to other people, and here are a few of those instances. So if you want to sing in E, or if your band or fellow musos are in E, you can maintain the same effect in a higher key, and you can still play the chords that you know. So you can play your D, your A and your G. Those equivalent chords in E, you have to learn B, which is horrible. So say you've written a really cool drop D song with D, A and G chords, and you love the guitar part, but it's a bit low to sing, so you want to come up a tone. Happens all the time. Check out Tim Minchin's F sharp song. Sums up that problem perfectly. In order to play your new cool song in E in standard tuning, you'd have to master the bar chord B to the same standard as E and A, and even when you do, it doesn't even sound the same as having all open chords. B is a toughie when you're starting out, and even when you're a little bit further along. You can try substituting a B7, but that is a different chord, which may or may not work with your song. Sometimes substituting a dominant 7 just doesn't work. Speaking from a creative point of view, by the time you've mastered B, your inspiration may have gone and you might hate playing guitar. Maybe, probably. Don't do it to yourself. There's time for that. So a capo means that your songwriting and your creativity needn't be held hostage by your guitar playing those early days. Creative energy is fast. Learning bar chords for most people is pretty slow. If you're going to an open mic or something and you're not comfortable retuning between songs in front of an audience, so I found that tuning and retuning during a performance quickly, accurately, confidently, and without getting flustered is one of the skills that takes people the longest to develop. I'd say it's a bit of a red flag. So if you're new to performing and if you're a little bit nervous, a little slip in the tuning can totally throw a new performer and hijack your composure completely. For the price of a capo, you can just sidestep that problem and you can get out sharing your awesome drop D song with people much, much quicker. You can feel great and feel in control while you're doing it. So a capo is a really useful piece of kit. You can be creative with it. For example, combining with other tools like drop D tuning theory. However, I'm not selling capo, so I'll leave it there. But thanks again for listening. I hope my music lovers and newbie singer-songwriters out there found some food for thought. Go try it. Big love. Mwah. Take care.